Hi everyone, my name is Mattie Alewine. I'm the State Outreach Coordinator and Communications Coordinator and Beginning Farmer and Rancher Coordinator for the Oklahoma Farm Service Agency. I'm located in Stillwater, Oklahoma, which is in central Oklahoma, north central Oklahoma, but we service all 77 counties. We have 59 county offices, and our counties are in charge of helping farmers and ranchers across the state with price support programs, financial opportunities, as well as other disaster assistance programs as applicable. Today I'm going to kind of go over some of our youth loan opportunities and some of our career opportunities for young adults within the USDA. So today we're just going to kind of briefly go over what about me, 4-H and FFA, how it sets up our successes, as well as using FSA youth loan program and some career options with the assistance of the USDA. So real quickly, just about me. I'm originally from Buckeye, Arizona. It's located way over there in the southwest quarter. I'm about 4 hours away from San Diego and about an hour and a half away from downtown Phoenix. Originally it was a rural community, and since then it has grown into a very urban area. The type of agriculture I grew up with is very different than the type of agriculture that you see here in Oklahoma. You won't really see as much land and cattle. You'll see a lot more of a hands-on production rather than using your big machinery and such. I moved to Oklahoma to ride on their equestrian team back in 2016. I came out here on scholarship, and I decided that I really liked it, so I decided to stay. While I was here at Oklahoma State, I decided that agriculture really was a choice for me. It was during this time there, I bounced around to several different majors within agriculture, that I decided that agriculture, anything about it, advocating for ag is what I needed to do with my life. So the cutest part of this presentation, you're going to look at my dogs. The center one, you have Otto. He's the best. And then you've got Rip over there on the left. He's our new puppy. We just recently got him. And then way over there on the right-hand side, you'll see Kitty. So I just added them in there because I like them, and you guys should like them too. Okay, so real quick, like I said, I came out here for Oklahoma for the equestrian team. That has been the biggest focus of my life. I did, when I was in 4-H, I was in equine 4-H, and it presented a lot of opportunities to me. We'll get into some of the benefits later about working with USDA. However, this is my number one benefit, is I'm able to go show horses still. I have a lot of leave time, so I can take a lot of vacations, and those all happen to be at horse shows. I love a funny farm. I really like to be entertained and to laugh, so I decided to get some goats. Over here in the far back, we have Lenny or Leonard Skinnerd, and then over there we got Loretta Lynn, and then right there we've got Jimmy Wrangler. They provide a lot of entertainment and absolutely zero purpose. So if you choose that you want a goat, you should get a goat because you'll be guaranteed to laugh. However, they don't take a lot to eat to feed them, and so they're gonna probably be super fat. So just be aware that dieting is not really on a goat's forte. And then over here we have Edgar. He's my mini donkey. I got him and I just threw him in there because I like him too. So getting into this type of agriculture that I grew up with as a kid, like I said, it's very different. There's a lot more hands-on experiences through hands-on production, meaning you're not going to see a lot of wheat, you're not going to see any hay, well, you'll see alfalfa, but not to the scale that you will out here. You're not really going to see any cattle. You're going to see onions, you're going to see lettuce. Yuma, Arizona is actually the lettuce capital of the world. You're going to see a lot of roses, and what my father did is he's a horticulturist. So I always said I grew up with a farmer, and people out here, they're like, what kind of paint does he run? None. We use our feet and we walk around in fields that look like this. And over here, this is the type of plants that we grow. We grow the plants that you'll find in your landscaping. You'll find the plants that you see on the outsides of the malls, etc. What he specializes in are xeriscape plants. So what that means is that these plants are heat tolerant, drought resistant, and they really are very, very hardy. So when I joined FFA, when I was in high school, I competed in nursery and landscaping, as well as agricultural marketing and floriculture. I used my knowledge from him to kind of give me a leg up on that side of things. But while I came out here in Oklahoma, I realized that nursery crops were cool, but that's not necessarily the only type of agriculture I really wanted to advocate for. And but it's kind of one of those things always in your blood, right? Whenever you're driving down in front of the mall, you're like, oh, those are my dad's plants. So it's something that I like, that it's kind of kept us connected throughout this time. Over here, we're going to kind of get started with my experience in 4-H. I had a different type of experience than most of the kids out here. A lot of the kids say that they had hogs, sheep, goats, and cows. Well, I had one hog, and her name was Princess Yum Yum, and it absolutely broke our heart to send her off after our 4 months with her, so I decided I'm not doing hogs again. And then I had horses as well. So this is Wally. His registered name was Wall Street Man, so I thought that was kind of cool. But with 4-H, it gave me a lot of experiences to help give me a leg up into my next position, into my next steps of life. By using 4-H, it gave me the opportunity to meet new people, start new relationships, join more organizations, and become passionate about horses specifically. So while in equine 4-H, it presented me with the opportunity to show horses across the country and even eventually across the globe. Over here, this is kind of interesting. This is a picture from the Youth Leadership Conference in West Virginia. Up there, that's Jacob Grinstead. That was the first time that we met each other, was at the YLC, and now he's a loan officer in Kansas with the Farm Service Agency. So it's kind of really interesting how horses kind of brought us together, and then work brought us together again a little bit later. This, like I said, I came out here to ride for the Oklahoma State Equestrian Team. That was the first picture I took with my teammates. The majority of them, we were all from different places. One girl was from Canada, I was from Arizona, and another girl was from Iowa. We all live in Oklahoma City area. And so it was just kind of nice that something so simple managed to bring us together for lifelong friends. And then down here, this is us in Germany for the Youth World Championship Games with the American Junior Paint Horse Association. Without the 4-H and without FFA, I would not have been in this position that I was currently in. These opportunities gave me countless memories and something that I'm never going to forget, and that I'm really, really grateful for. FFA is definitely an opportunity that will create building blocks and friendships that will eventually help you with career advancement. So my experience with FFA was fantastic, to say the least. Again, I really enjoy that FFA gives you the opportunity to not only work with cows, if that's the thing that you want to go for. You can do machinery, you can do mechanics. I went the route of nursery and landscape. It was kind of easy for me, and it was one of those things that my dad and I could study together. Parliamentary procedure, which is kind of just how to run a meeting. Agricultural marketing plan, which gave me the opportunity to work on some people skills, work on presentation skills, and kind of gave me an outlet to talk to people, which eventually became my career. Excuse me. So now we're going to kind of get out of my particular experience with 4-H and FFA. I'd like to end that conversation on how great my 4-H and FFA experience was. It gave me so many opportunities that without that, it's absolutely invaluable. So while I'm here with the USDA Farm Service Agency specifically, I would like to touch on what a youth loan is. A youth loan is an opportunity for youth to acquire experience in an agricultural related project to help advance education throughout this project, as well as beginning an agricultural funded project. So that meaning this can be the building blocks to start your own operation. Something I would really like to stress on this next point is that a youth loan can provide funding up to $5,000. However, that might not be applicable for every single operation. $5,000 can buy about 4 head of cattle, but that's not the only thing it can buy. So I would like to kind of take some time, go over our youth loan application, and go over how we can use this funding to work on a smaller scale on an urban agricultural project, because something that I feel like falls under the table a little bit is that small-scale agriculture is equally as important as large-scale agriculture. You might not be running 400 head of cattle. You might not be running hay operation on 7,000 acres, but if you're able to feed your community, you're doing your job in helping with national food security, and it's something that should not be ignored. Qualifying for a youth loan. You'll be an applicant that will have to be an age of 10 to 20 years of age. You'll have a project supervised by your 4-H leader, FFA advisor, or if you're in another organization, such as a tribal organization, that will also count as an advisor to qualify for a youth loan. So these youth loan funds are going to be used to finance a modest income producing agricultural related educational project. Let's break that down a little bit. Like we just talked about with relativity, modest, big deal. If what you have is just a little section the size of a 6 by 12 foot table in your mom's backyard, great, we can make that work. We can put you through different outlets and different avenues that's going to be equally functional for your situation. Let's bring it up a scale. Let's say your mom's really, really big in the farmer's market community, and she might have even gotten herself a couple of hoop houses for her to extend her growing season, and you're going to put in some of your stuff in with her stuff. Let's say you get a good amount of tomatoes each year, so you're going to sign a quick little contract with your neighborhood grocer. Once you do that, and then you're going to provide your tomatoes to them, that's a little bit of a larger scale, but it's also modest in its relative term. Income producing. The purpose of this loan is to provide the grounds for financial advancement with this project. So that being said, is that this loan is intended to pay for the project, and the project's intended to pay for the loan. So it must be an income producing project. It has to be agricultural related. Agriculture is a very broad aspect. Although we're not talking about cows, we're going to talk about something else. It can be anywhere. Educational. I think that it's really important that these projects are used for you to advance your education. Whether that comes from your personal mentor or that comes from OSU Extension to work with what you have in your situation, you're going to expand your education, and it's going to take you further and become, it all kind of ties together. It's going to become a larger project, it's going to produce more income, and it's going to overall be a very successful deal. So let's talk about what these funds can be used for. Buy livestock, seed, equipment and supplies, buy, rent, repair needed tools and equipment, and pay operating expenses for the project is what's going to be found in the fact sheet. What does that mean? Buy livestock. Obviously, we know that you're going to buy a couple goats. Okay, seed. You're going to buy some seed. If you're really interested in strawberries, you can do that. However, if you decide that you need the material for a raised bed, that can be involved in this youth loan. If you need to get a couple of harvesting equipment and you need to rent some of that or some of the machinery, or you need to purchase it outright, that can also be part of this youth loan. So this is something that's where it helps with your education. If you have ties with other advisors and you have ties with other mentors, you might be able to work together and create the most financially sound project possible with your current means. So a good project, some project requirements. The project's going to be able to produce sufficient income to repay the loan. It'll be related to agriculture. It'll be educational. It'll be a part of an organized or supervised term or program. Something I'll put in this as well is sometimes these youth loan projects can also work for your FFA awards. So if you're working on your FFA award in high school or you're working on your American award, your youth loan may be able to help you with that. Our loan process. You're going to complete the youth loan request form. The technical term for that is FSA 2301. I did a little mock form and that I'm going to kind of go over with you guys as an example for something that can be done in an urban area. However, I never went through the youth loan process. I wish I did, and as I was going through this, a lot of questions came up. I worked directly with our farm loan staff in order to answer those questions, and I'm going to share some of that information with you. However, if you have any additional questions, you can always reach out to your loan officers, and they're happy to assist. So here it's going to ask for a brief description of your project. For me, we're going to pretend like I'm 12, and so this is all stuff that I would do if I was that age. A brief description of my project is a horticulture-based operation specializing in the growth and retail sale of drought-resistant landscaping plants within urban areas. Something super quick, super easy, just a brief what your goal is. So now we're going to kind of go over, these are some of my main focuses. Here we have the Hesperaloe brake lights. We have the Desert Diva Chalopsis lepur. It's like a willow type looking tree. And then over here we have our Lynn Legacy leucophyllum. Those are the 3 plants that I'm really going to specifically go for. The reason why I picked this plant here, and all of them have kind of came up with an idea in my head. This plant here, the way that it's created and populated is through grafting. So the way that this plant reproduces is through these little pups. And so each one of these flowers will sprout off a little mini Hesperaloe with these big spiny leaves on it. And then you can pull that off and plant it somewhere else. And so that's why I specifically chose that one, because it's really easy to propagate and it's a self-producing plant. Now we're over here, we have this tree. This is just the flower, but it's a tree. I picked this one because it's not a super big tree. It provides a lot of color. It provides a lot of, it's a very high attractor for honeybees as well as for other pollinators. It looks great in every landscape. It's really low maintenance and doesn't require a lot of water. And I think in the area that I'm going to go and market my plants, that would really be appealing to those that I'm trying to reach out to. Now this one over here, the Lynn Legacy, it's a very bright plant. Again, attracts pollinators. You can see it really well. It's a very noticeable plant. Not very many plants look like that. And so I'm looking at kind of self-marketing, right? I want people to come to me and be like, oh, I saw that this plant came from there, or my neighbor had this plant and told me to come to this farmer's market to see it. So I picked plants that are very noticeable, very bright, that are very different for the region that I'm in, so I will be the main sourcer. Something else about this picture here that I kind of want to focus on is another part of what I'm going to try and do with my operation and with my agriculture project is to educate homeowners how to make the most vibrant yard possible with the lowest water bill. So that's why I'm going to kind of help them with water efficient plants, so then they can put these everywhere else to help save our water crisis, as well as to also help brighten up our neighborhoods. So on this page of our lovely form, you're going to come up with your projected income and your projected expenses. So what I did is I selected what I wanted, and I put that down first. I want 5 Desert Diva 5-gallon trees. I want 5 1-gallon brake lights. I want 2 Angelita daisies. We'll go over that in the next slide. I want 5 1-gallon Lynn's Legacy. But with that, my plan is to continue to propagate, right? I want to sell some, but I want to propagate too, so I can start building up my nursery through propagation. However, I need to sell in order to make income to continue to grow my nursery. So with that, I'm going to need some mulch. If you go to your nursery and your nurserymen and your horticulturists, and you say, I need some mulch, they're probably going to have some. My dad has figured out a way to make my horse habit beneficial to him, and so he works with different horse barns across the state to source their manure, and that's his mulch. So it's very cheap and inexpensive to make, and you can even start using your compost in order to help with your mulch situation. So that's something that I put down. I know I can recreate it myself, however, it's just so much easier if I buy it. The rate at that particular nursery for 2 5-gallon buckets is $5. So it's a very profitable price. Some nurseries, depending on where they have it, that may be a free expense that they give to you, and you can use that in order to help grow your plants. I'm also going to need some liners for my Hesperaloes, and I'm going to need some pots when they start to get bigger. So I purchased some of those Also from my nurserymen, because they get it on bulk and they can sell it to me for a cheaper price. Also, where am I going to sell this? I'm not going to have a storefront yet, so I need to find somewhere to sell this. So I'm going to go to the Central Oklahoma City Farmers Market for 2 times, and that's going to be a $25 fee each time. So total, my expenses come out to $317.50. With that in mind, I need to make that back, plus interest and a little bit of money in my pocket. So with that, I'm going to sell my Desert Divas. I'm going to sell 3 of my 5 brake lights. I'm going to sell 1 of my daisies. And I'm going to sell all of my leucophyllums, and that's a profit of $435. That pays off my loan. These are just projected. This isn't what actually happens. So this is just what you anticipate to accrue. This is going to pay off my loan. This is going to give me a little bit of money in my pocket. It's going to give me the availability to get another loan with FSA and rebuild and start again, and maybe at a bigger scale, because at this point people are looking for the plants that I have to give at the farmer's market. So here, these are liners. I thought I'd throw in a picture of that just so people could see what those look like. I have my liners, and this is the Angelita Daisy. The Angelita Daisy, the owner of Mountain States Nursery, which is where my father worked, was, his name was Ron Gass, and he has a daughter, and his daughter's name is Angie, and so he created that daisy for her. I remember I spent hours upon hours upon hours, days upon days, every single summer to walk outside. My dad has probably 50 of these plants in his backyard, and pick these little bulbs and put them in a stupid brown bag all day. That was my job. My dad's like, I'll give you $5 a bag. And they're just those little sandwich bags, except those seeds are like microscopic. Never, ever once have I filled an entire bag. So I never got my $5, but I kept trying. So this is the reason why I selected this plant, is because it grows very well. It doesn't need a lot of water, so you can forget about it if you forget about it on accident. Or if you're going on vacation, you don't really need to worry about it. But this plant grows very, very well in hot, in cold, and with limited water. And you can even overwater it, and it won't get stressed out very easily. So my goal was to pick very hardy plants that self-propagated very, very well, so I could build up my inventory while producing a great product that made people want to buy it. Because if your guys' mother is anything like my mother, you're going to forget to water it a lot, or you're going to never forget to water it and overwater it all the time. So if you can create a hardy product where people are really interested and invested in coming and getting, that's the greatest way to get started as you continue on with your process. Okay, now let's look at this asset and debts. Excuse me. Now, again, I'm 12 years old. Do I have any assets? Probably not. So that's just something, this is on the form. However, don't feel ashamed if you can't answer this and if you can't fill it out, because although it's there, it's not 100% necessary at this time. The purpose of the youth loan is in order to help advance your project, but be an educational opportunity. Not only are you learning how to grow a product, you're also learning how to keep records, how to keep balance sheets, and how to follow through with your income and your record keeping skills. Those are all very, very valuable that are going to become very efficient as you get older. So now I kind of want to go into careers with USDA. This was me about 3 or 4 years ago, in this big city of Austin, Texas. I was a senior in college, or I guess a senior in college. I had 1 semester left, and it was the fall semester, so I had summer break. My mom called me and she goes, "Madeline, did you get a job yet?" And I said, "No, ma'am." She goes, "You better get a job." And I was like, "I don't want one." She said, "Okay, I'll make you a deal. Apply to 1 place, and if you don't get it, you don't have to work this summer. But if you get it, you have to go to work this summer." So me being me, I was like, I'm going to apply to USDA. Who the heck's going to hire me? Obviously, well, let's see where I'm at right now. So I made this little phone interview. I did it. They're like, what? And I applied to the National Agricultural Statistics Service, otherwise known as NASS. I'm on the phone with this guy and he goes, so tell me, what do you know about NASS? Googled. I was like, hold on, I have bad service. Muted him, Googled real quick what NASS even stood for. Answered him again, and I was like, oh, you guys do with statistics through agriculture? And he's like, yeah, okay. And I was like, okay. Asked me some questions, and like I said, I like to talk to people, and I'm really interested in agriculture. So I just kind of went through some of my economics classes, because at this time, I'd switched my major 4 times, and I fell into ag econ rather than all of the other ags that I tried. And he goes, you're hired. Send in your stuff and we'll get your background check done. And I was like, oh my Atlanta, where's this job even at? I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know anything. Finally, he sent me an email and I looked at it and I was like, Austin, Texas, what the heck? This is great. I've never been to Austin before in my life. 18 miles, took me an hour and a half to get there. I rode a bus for the first time. I totally moved away from everybody I knew for the first time in my life. I brought that black dog, so that was kind of my saving grace. But I learned so much through this opportunity, more so than with agriculture, but with myself and what I was capable of. After being put through that storm, I know that I'm able to endure something else and endure the volatility of other things. But that's something that I firmly believe that I wouldn't have been able to fully commit to if I hadn't been through the experiences of FFA and 4-H either. Those prepared me very, very well for the situation that I found myself in. So I joined in this thing called Pathways Program. The Pathways Program is a short-term program. It's only 640 hours that you can work for a USDA agency. And from there, you'll get your direct hire authority. If you do your good work and you enjoy your job, and you want to do it, you can be directly hired into a position. What happened to me is I continued working through my last semester. They said, you got a job, you want it? And I was like, where's it at? Sacramento, California. Ugh. Omaha, Nebraska. Ugh. And then like Denver, Colorado. Ugh. I was like, no, I don't want it. And they're like, what the heck? I was like, I don't know, I don't want any of those jobs. And they're like, well, will you take Austin? I was like, no, I won't even take Austin. I want Oklahoma. So I was determined I was going to stay in Oklahoma. Well, through this Pathways program, I was able to select an agency. Mind you, I knew nothing about FSA when I first started. I was able to get to another agency and be directly hired into a position because of the skills that I learned throughout my life on the way to get there. And I can talk to a brick wall. And so they were like, yeah, okay, here's your job. You get to talk to people forever. Great. So with USDA Pathways program, you can have direct hire authority. I would really like to tell everybody that you should really look into that. Again, you just learn. Whether you like it or you hate it, you learned. And you can go on from there. And honestly, you might be able to find something that is your passion. I love advocating for agriculture, and somehow I managed to find myself in that position. So now we're going to kind of go into what specific careers FSA has. You can be a farm loan officer trainee, which is the first stepping block to be a farm loan manager. From there, it's a 1 to 2 year program that you'll learn how to do all the loan approval stuff. And then you'll go into, you'll be a loan officer. And then from there you can graduate and go into be a loan manager. We have 19 offices across the state, so wherever you call home is something that you can do and somewhere that you can go. You have your County Executive Director in Training, or CEDT. Our CEDT is on the program side. Producers are hit with drought and they're hit with high transportation costs. You're the one that's implementing the programs in order to help mitigate those financial burdens to producers right now. Using FSA resources to begin your own production of your dreams, right? I came from plants. I came from landscaping plants. However, I think cows are a lot cooler, so I want to go the cow route. This was me at the Women in Ag Conference. Again, education's never ending. Any opportunity that you get to go and learn, you should do. If you have a OLAC workshop, you should go because you're going to learn something. If you have the Women in Ag Conference opportunity, you should go because you're going to learn something. If you want to go to the Oklahoma Cattlemen's Association convention, you should go because you're going to learn something. And you're going to learn some great things that are going to help all sectors of your agricultural experience. We provide opportunities for the beginning farmer. Like I said, I came from a different background. However, I really, really, really enjoy cattle. Another thing that kind of has hit me while I've been traveling the state of Oklahoma, as well as living with my experience in a big city in Arizona, is the rural food insecurity epidemic. I will frankly call it that. In a rural town, I recently moved to northwestern Oklahoma town with 700 people. The food prices there have skyrocketed due to whatever various reasons. However, the income levels are lower there than they are elsewhere, but their food prices are so much higher than they are everywhere else. So how can I, as a producer, help my community that I live in? And so what I've determined that I would like to start to do, and I'm going to use my USDA and FSA resources to work with cattle in order to create a product and sell it directly to the rural Oklahoma community that I reside in order to help mitigate some of their burden as well as a community. Another thing is our urban food niche markets. That's a huge, huge deal. Mobile meat markets right now is a complete fad. And I think it's absolutely awesome because it's super cool. So this is Tiger. And I really enjoy that people like to learn about the cattle that they are around or the products that they consume due to animals. I like that people are interested in learning where food comes from. And I think that that's something that I can really use my agricultural advocacy skills through urban communities to help teach people that sometimes a GMO isn't the worst thing in the world, or sometimes cows like this have a purpose. So USDA has a multitude of opportunities. It doesn't just stop within USDA. It can go from anywhere. And the stepping stones for this particular operation would have been a youth loan. It would have given me all the skills that I needed and given me every opportunity possible. If anybody has any questions at any time, you guys can always reach out to me, and I'm happy to assist you guys with any answers that I can provide. Thank you.